like to say, spooky. And I'm here to tell you, it definitely looked spooky because there's not one play, 2-3, but 3 plays, possibly 4 to 5 of players attempting to get Caitlin Clark into foul trouble. Yes, they was laying in on her. They was damn near breathing on her hair, trying to get her into foul trouble and trying to get Caitlin Clark to react to these set different things. Now, I'm here to tell you, it worked. It definitely worked because I believe Caitlin Clark had got into
footage from the Indiana Fever's opening loss to the Dallas Wings has been circulating online, with a segment of fans pointing to specific plays as evidence that opposing players were deliberately trying to draw Caitlin Clark into foul trouble. The clip sparked significant discussion, with some viewers arguing the pattern was too consistent to be coincidental. Clark had a difficult first half against Dallas before turning things around in the third quarter, where she came out noticeably sharper and more aggressive. That momentum, however, was disrupted by foul accumulation. By the early fourth quarter, Clark had picked up 4 fouls, 3 of them offensive, which prompted the coaching staff to pull her from the game at a critical moment.
Because I believe Caitlin Clark had got into like 4 fouls at one point, and Stephanie White pulled her out the game. Now, why come Stephanie White did not argue with the referees by a lot of these fouls that Caitlin Clark was getting is beyond me. But I'm telling you right now, the more we get into this season, it's going to look more and more like Stephanie White is definitely sabotaging Caitlin Clark. Her and the WNBA referees, it could be something going way back to the damn executives of the WNBA.
The plays drawing the most scrutiny involved Dallas defenders positioning themselves in Clark's path as she attempted to get open, then drawing contact that resulted in offensive foul calls against her. In several of the clips being reviewed by fans, the defenders appear to use body positioning and leaning to manufacture contact rather than contest the play cleanly. One play in particular showed a defender with arms extended directly in Clark's route, yet the foul was ruled on Clark. Another drew comparisons to flopping, with viewers slowing the footage down to argue the defensive reaction was exaggerated. Clark finished the game with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 5 turnovers.
NBA. For whatever reason, they do not want Caitlin Clark to be the face of this league. Let's dive into this right now because I'm telling you this one, for sure, this is spooky. Now, this is the first one right here, right? Shout out to WNBA Got Game. Caitlin Clark was trying to get open, but ended up with an offensive foul. Watch this play right here, y'all.
As she tried to separate from James, and it's
now. Y'all see her right here. She got her arms. She's in the.
She addressed the foul situation indirectly in her post-game comments, noting that she felt she could have drawn more calls herself when driving hard to the basket, but chose to let it go rather than complain. She described getting into the paint as a deliberate focus this season, not just to score, but to force defensive rotations that open up her teammates. The broader conversation extends beyond just the officiating. Some fans have raised questions about why the Fever's coaching staff didn't push back more vocally when the foul calls were coming in. Others have noted that Clark's aggressiveness off the dribble, the exact style that makes her most difficult to defend, is precisely what opposing teams have an incentive to neutralize through early foul trouble.
She got her arms. She's in the path, in Caitlin Clark's path. Bro, come on now. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean, get called for that every time.
Can't do that.
Now, look at Caitlin Clark. Frustrated because she's literally all in her bubble. And guess who got the foul? Caitlin did, right? Oh, there's another one. Watch this. What we talked about yesterday.
We talk about James is going to embellish any kind of contact.
Clark's defensive end also came up in the discussion. Several moments showed her being less engaged on that side of the floor, which drew some criticism. That element, though, was widely viewed as a secondary issue compared to the foul trouble narrative that dominated the post-game conversation. Whether the pattern represents a coordinated strategy by opposing teams, standard professional-level physicality, or simply inconsistent officiating remains a matter of debate. What's clear is that Clark finishing with 4 fouls and being taken off the floor in a close game had a direct impact on the outcome, and it's a situation the Fever will need to manage going forward.
What we talked about yesterday.
We talk about James is going to embellish any kind of contact. We've seen it a couple times.
Flopping, bro.
Saying flopper.
Caitlin said fucking flopping, bro. Watch this again. Look at this again. Guess who got the foul? Caitlin Clark. This one right here. Caitlin Clark. Hold up. No, that's a old one there. Hold on, y'all, because there's a lot more of Caitlin Clark. Once again, always.
A tough opener for Indiana, though credit belongs to Dallas for coming out and executing. Defense was essentially absent on both ends throughout the contest. Kelsey Mitchell nearly hit a game winner. The Fever had 2 legitimate looks to tie the game in the final seconds and converted neither. Meanwhile, Paige Buchers missed both of her free throws late. Dallas as a team bricked 3 of 4 attempts to close things out, and Indiana still could not capitalize.
Again, always these players messing with Caitlin Clark, making it so she feel uncomfortable, throwing her off her rhythm. And at this point, I am convinced that look at this. Not just Caitlin Clark, by the way. Not sure why refs didn't call foul here. Look at this, bro. They're intentionally making it their business to get the Indiana Fever players into foul.
2 chances, 2 misses. That is the full summary of how the game ended. Clark finished 7 of 1-8 from the field. Mitchell went 1 of 2-2.
Players into foul trouble. One fan stated a push requires the extension of the arms. In this play, Caitlin Clark extended her arms, so this is push. They should have called an offensive foul, correct? Let me see you twist this one. So as you guys can see here, there's fans going with this narrative that Caitlin Clark is the bad guy. Caitlin Clark is not doing anything correct in the basketball scheme of things. Now, Caitlin Clark did respond to this.
Was positive afterwards, so we're not going to hang our heads.
Neither shot well from 3. Indiana connected on just 29% from deep as a team compared to Dallas's 52%. The staggering part is that the Fever nearly stole a game in which their opponent shot 59% from the field and 52% from 3. The Fever's top 3 combined for 73 points. That output simply should not result in a loss.
Caitlin Clark did respond to this.
Was positive afterwards, so we're not going to hang our heads. We're going to move forward. A lot to be proud of, and a lot to learn from too. So there's only 1 of 44. We got a long ways to go.
Caitlin, to your point on feeling good, you made a couple of quick trips to the locker room. Was there a reason for that?
Sorry, who's talking? Oh, my bad. Just getting my back adjusted. It gets out of line pretty quickly, so just getting my back put back in place a little bit. But other than that, feel great. But
you attack the basket a lot. Is that
Clark's night was a tale of 2 halves. The first half was difficult, offensively passive, defensively poor, arguably the worst defensive half she has shown in recent memory. The second half looked completely different. She was active, engaged, and genuinely strong on defense, arguably among the better defensive stretches of her career to date. She took the right shot at the end, a 3-0, footer off a pump fake with the game on the line.
52%. Look, the Indiana Fever, as crazy as this sounds, the Indiana Fever nearly won a game where their opponents shot 59% from the field and 52% from 3. Thank you so much, Post, for the $10. The Indiana Fever nearly won a game where their opponents, I repeat, shot 59 and 52%. Why Paige Buchers only took to 8-10 shots is beyond me. So the big 3.
Missing a shot of that difficulty is not a failure of nerve. Passing it up would have been the real concern. She took it. It did not fall. 3 of her turnovers trace back to Isaiah James running deliberate flop attempts against her, something the referees only began addressing in the fourth quarter.
Big 3 combination. I said 70 for the Fever big 3. They got 73. The Fever had 73 points from their big 3. In terms of overall efficiency, even with Caitlin's turnovers, 3 of her turnovers were from Isaiah James flops. It took the refs till the fourth quarter to realize Isaiah James was running calculated flops for Caitlin Clark. But don't hate it, because look, in a year, I love how people are like 7 of 18, yikes, and it's
The officiating adjustment came too late to matter. There is also a broader context around the turnover issue. Clark developed certain physical habits during stretches when defenders were permitted to grab and hold her. Now that contact is being called more strictly, her natural instincts are occasionally working against her in transition. Alia Boston was arguably the best player on the floor for Indiana.
Yikes, and it's that's kind of a normal-ish percentage for a game. But look, if I'm being real here, Caitlin at least looked alive in the second half. She didn't look alive in the first half. She just didn't. She came out, was really good in the third, was not great in the fourth offensively, fantastic defensively in the fourth quarter, after Caitlin had the worst defensive first half I've ever seen from her. Like, Sheila was pathetic defensively in the first half. She was exceptional defensively in the second half. Like, it was the best.
She was efficient, physical, and engaged throughout. Mitchell did Mitchell things, dynamic bursts of scoring, but largely one-dimensional in her contribution. The shot creation problem on this roster is real and runs deep. The only players capable of generating open looks for teammates are Clark and Boston.
Sheila was pathetic defensively in the first half. She was exceptional defensively in the second half. Like, it was the best defensive half I think I've seen Caitlin Clark play. Her turnovers, again, it's like, the problem is with the Caitlin turnovers is that a year ago, because they were allowing people to manhandle Caitlin, you had to give Caitlin leeway on the push-off. But now they're calling Caitlin getting grabbed. So there's no leeway on the push-off, and Caitlin's natural instinct is still to push. So, look, it is what it is. One thing is a shock is that Arike Ogunbowale shot above 50%. Do you know that there was a 2-year...
Every possession featuring a particular reserve left the team looking disorganized and uncertain. The absence of Mariah Jefferson due to injury forced extended minutes on players not equipped to handle them, and that gap showed consistently. Buchers had a solid game overall, but made a puzzling decision to attempt only 10 shots. She also turned the ball over 3 times in identical fashion, catching a rebound, turning up court, and getting stripped, yet the official stat sheet credited her with just 1 turnover.
One thing is a shock is that Arike Ogunbowale shot above 50%. Do you know that there was a 2-year, it was 2 years, 60-something games streak, where Arike didn't shoot above 50% in a game? And the Fever have allowed Arike to do that. As far as the rookies are concerned, Azzi Fudd was not good. Caitlin Clark, as soon as she saw Azzi Fudd on her, was like, cool, I'm going to the basket every time. Azzi Fudd was not good. Isaiah James is a much better player. Seager was fantastic in the first half. Jess Shepherd, I don't know how...
The discrepancy between her actual impact and the box score is notable. On the Dallas side, Odyssey Sims hit a remarkable fall-away over 2 outstretched hands late in the game to extend the lead at a critical moment. Some of the wing shooting in this contest was genuinely difficult to defend against, regardless of scheme. The Fever's defensive rebounding and overall length concerns were visible.
Jess Shepherd, I don't know how I call a triple-double. I was 1 rebound and 1 assist off a Jess Shepherd triple-double. The Indiana Fever suffer from a couple of things. They don't rebound, they don't play defense, and they don't create that many open looks unless it is Caitlin Clark kicking to a shooter. The only good looks that are created by the Indiana Fever are from Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston. Maisha Hines-Allen, Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham, KK Timpson, Dantas, Ty Harris, Lexi Hull, Raven Johnson do not create an open shot for anyone else.
Certain matchups expose the roster's physical limitations in ways that will be harder to mask against better opponents. The New York Liberty, for instance, represent a different class of challenge entirely.
Create an open shot for anyone else. The only people that create open shots are Leah Boston and Caitlin Clark. That's it. That is absolutely it. KK Timpson, I want to congratulate you. First of all, she was fantastic. And second of all, I want to congratulate her for her first competitive assist in an Indiana Fever uniform. But I'm not going to lie, if the Dallas Wings are going to shoot like that, and some of the mad shit Odyssey Sims was putting up, like Odyssey Sims to make it, I think it was like a 5-point game with a minute and a half, or 3-point game with like a minute and a half to go. Like, she literally went...
When she performs as the third best option as she did for stretches of this game, the team's ceiling drops sharply. The path forward runs directly through Clark, returning to the form she is capable of sustaining over a full game, both offensively and defensively. One game is one game, but the patterns that emerged in this opener are worth watching closely as the season develops.
Like, she literally went and shot a fall away over Caitlin's 2 hands off the board, and I'm like, man, that is just impressive. That is just impressive. Some of the shit Arike was putting up is impressive. I thought Paige looked decent down the stretch and then just choked the 2 free throws away, but good game for Paige Beckers. Like, that, like, a good game for Paige. Like, third best player on her team, as was Caitlin. I thought Aaliyah was the best player in the Fever. I know Kelsey Mitchell at 30. I thought Aaliyah was the best player. Kelsey